Welcome to another episode of Unemployed and Undefeated, where we discuss barriers to work, which can be described as anything that hinders or prevents individuals from confidently searching for and applying to jobs. When we face pressure or experience a string of negative outcomes, such as sending out hundreds of unsuccessful applications over many months, we naturally become more cautious in order to avoid further harm. However, this heightened sensitivity can lead us to develop avoidance strategies and coping mechanisms, commonly known as barriers to work. In this episode, we will uncover the hidden challenges faced by job seekers and explore pathways towards a brighter future. During my early days as an employment coach, I received comprehensive training on basic skills tuition, application processes, and interview coaching provided by our company. However, my boss emphasized that there was a more crucial aspect to focus on. He revealed that many long-term unemployed individuals we worked with met specific challenges that hindered their job search and progression. In some cases, they faced multiple obstacles that needed to be addressed. He tasked me with finding these problems and guiding individuals towards existing solutions or creating new ones, ultimately enabling them to become independent of our assistance. He emphasized that unless they are job-ready, we could find them their dream job, but they would not be able to maintain it. He instructed me to address anything that affects employment, no matter what it is. With this instruction in mind, I set about getting to know the people who were referred to us by the job center. While the bulk of their day was focused on developing employability and application skills, I made it a priority to connect with each individual on a personal level. Shortly after, his words bore fruit. After much effort, a guy I was working with landed his dream job as an in-house games tester for one of the biggest gaming companies. Assuming his motivation, I wished him good luck. A week later, I called my contact to check on his progress and discovered that the guy had not shown up for work. After numerous attempts, I was finally able to speak to him. He explained that he did not have the bus fare to get to the job, even though we had funds for such expenses. He further revealed that he and his girlfriend had completed a budget and realized they could not survive between the last welfare payment and his first wage. We had created a back-to-work budget, but his partner did not want to be left alone while he went out to work. Despite attending our office 5 days a week for many months, the prospect of him working would have affected her benefits. This wasn't just his dream job. It was an exceedingly tough job to secure, typically reserved for graduates. However, his impressive portfolio of artwork opened the doors for him. Sadly, the employer did not give him a second chance, and to circumvent the bureaucracy of having turned down work, he claimed anxiety and went on to disability benefits. I bumped into him years later, working as a temp cleaner. He was no longer with his girlfriend, and he sadly said, "I messed up, didn't I?" Yes, he had, but on a good day, I can see how numerous small barriers had combined to make him unemployable. I am fortunate to have a mentor who corrects my errors and teaches me valuable lessons. One of the most significant lessons I learned is the importance of active listening when interacting with others. There are 3 levels of listening. Level 1, where we are thinking about something unrelated while someone talks to us. Level 2, where we are thinking about what we are going to say next, waiting for the other person to pause so we can interject. And Level 3, where we truly listen to what the person is saying and consider their words before responding. Level 3 listening fosters honesty and openness in conversations, making it one of the most valuable skills we can learn. By engaging in Level 3, listening with the unemployed individuals I worked with, I discovered their personal stories and the challenges they faced, both real and imagined. It became clear why many of them, despite their job seekers' agreement, were not ready for work. While employment would undoubtedly have positive effects, their current situations made these barriers feel insurmountable. Tasked with addressing barriers to work, I quickly compiled a contact list of people and groups to whom I could refer my clients. This included substance and addiction counselors, domestic abuse charities, housing departments, and we even encouraged people to join clubs for social and physical development. Encouraging individuals to engage and make that first contact was sometimes challenging. However, once they isolated each problem and took the first steps towards resolution, every single person found the motivation to pursue employment. Having an income provides independence, which fosters confidence. As long as you can take the next step, you can take yourself wherever you want to be. My boss was correct in his belief that everyone is born creative, resourceful, and whole. By overcoming doubts and working through difficulties, individuals can progress and achieve any goal they set. Here's an interesting fact. Based on overwhelming evidence pooled from psychiatry and other social sciences, once we can afford our basic needs of food, warmth, and shelter, and have a little extra for treats, the difference between just covering those needs and having excessive spending power is negligible. A millionaire is no happier than someone who is just getting by. They simply buy more expensive stuff. While we may have McDonald's, they may have a private chef. We go to Butlins, they go to Monaco. The enjoyment is the same, and the only difference is perhaps a little envy. Let's do a quick thought experiment. I can promise you that you can become a millionaire in 10 years. All you have to do is work 14-hour days, 7 days a week, focused on one project. And you must never lose focus, motivation, or become distracted by family or friends. This is how Gates, Bezos, and Musk made their fortunes. So, if you aspire to be a millionaire, or if you have ever disapproved of their wealth, now you have the cheat code to achieve the same. Here's another grounding statement. Lamborghini does not advertise on TV, in sports stadiums, or in tabloids, because people who watch TV, sports, or read tabloids will never be able to afford one of their cars. Now, benefit payments are not simply just getting by. While they supply temporary support, they are insufficient for long-term comfort. If overly relied upon, they will lead to debilitating benefit dependency. Many times, I have heard people say, well, minimum wage does not pay enough, so why would I work for just a few pounds more than benefits? But not having to rely on the job centre, not being mandated to work programs, achieving personal independence and autonomy, and being in a position where more and better opportunities will arise has to be a better lifestyle choice. And all you have to do is be reliable, honest, and get along with people. I know this to be true because I have first-hand experience of benefit dependency and the daily struggle to live a good life. Remember, free money has no value. Earned money is worth more than just the things you can buy. The best way to avoid welfare dependency is not to be in a situation where you need welfare. I can supply numerous reasons why that statement is not as easy as it sounds. In the last decade, intersectional ideology has wrapped up every bad excuse for personal failure into a mainstream movement. I'm sorry to say that while barriers to work are real, they can be overcome. They have not been set to personally disadvantage you. This is just nonsense and a manufactured way of making you weak, dependent, and vulnerable. Before we delve into specific barriers to work and solutions, let me ask you, are you weak and helpless, in need of social change to get ahead? Or are you creative, resourceful, and whole, willing to take on the challenges of life, just like your ancestors? Take a moment to think about it. For better or worse, you have had a mother and a father, and they both had parents, and so did they, going back through wars, plagues, and silly fashions, and even before science. You have a lineage that goes back thousands of years, and the common trait among them all was survival long enough to pass on the DNA and instincts that made you. So, if you fail in this, you aren't just letting down yourself and your parents or grandparents. There are 1,000 men and women reliant on you to carry on what they started. So, chin up, stand tall, chest out, smile, and get to work. You can do this. If you're up to the challenge, then you'll be pleased to know that 1,000,000 years of trial, error, and evolution have manifested in you. Even when things go terribly wrong, if you are set up to take responsibility, consider your errors, and then try again, you will feel better for it. Personally, I like nothing better than finding my shortcomings and mistakes. I would rather laugh at my failures and think, well, I won't do that again. This is infinitely better than burying your head in the sand and blaming everyone else. Now let's discuss barriers to work. The first barrier is disability, whether physical or emotional. Despite the idealistic notion of equity, it's important to acknowledge that not everyone can do anything. A fish cannot climb a tree, and very few monkeys can swim. Accepting this reality is crucial. Good employers already have policies in place to reasonably accommodate physical disabilities, and an increasing number are willing to support individuals with emotional disorders. For example, recognizing and accepting that you have anxiety is the first step towards overcoming it. Speaking to your doctor and seeking therapy or pharmaceutical intervention are further steps that can help you manage this challenge, whether it's temporary or permanent. However, it's not a good strategy to demand that an employer bend over backwards to accommodate your anxiety. Instead, it's better to explain that you have anxiety, have taken steps to minimize its effects, but may still encounter occasional difficulties. It's even better to communicate that when you have an anxiety attack, you may need a moment to go somewhere quiet and practice breathing exercises, or use any other techniques that help you overcome the moment. Adopting a respectful attitude and taking responsibility for oneself is an excellent strategy. Financial barriers to work are equally debilitating, and there's a good chance that you have already become dependent on benefits. Let's delve into this term. When claiming job seekers' benefits, they cover your rent and council tax. When considering going back to work, the idea of taking on the responsibility of paying those bills, which are often large amounts, can be overwhelming and serve as a barrier. In this case, creating a back-to-work budget can help you understand the challenges you face. Consider how much the new job pays and when you'll receive your first payment. Then list your expenses, including rent, council tax, utilities, internet, phone, food, and toiletries. There are many online tools and YouTube videos on how to create weekly, monthly, and annual budgets. Essentially, you'll add up your expenses and subtract them from your income. This calculation will either leave you with some surplus, break even, or in a deficit. It's possible that you may fall into arrears between your final welfare payment and your first wage. It may take several months of tight financial control to pay off debts until you break even and can then start saving. You can approach the council to recalculate your council tax payments, and some property owners may be willing to accept temporarily reduced payments with the shortfall added to future payments. You won't know until you ask. Additionally, there are many non-profits that can help you budget and provide advice on negotiating with creditors. They may be able to aid in reducing other payments while you get back on your feet. However, it's important to be cautious of unscrupulous businesses that profit from providing financial management assistance. In Britain, Step Change is a reputable organization that can help you with budgeting. Their advisors are excellent, and they offer great online tools to help you. Personally, when I've faced this issue, I've adopted solutions commonly found in countries without extensive benefit systems, such as cutting costs and downsizing so that my expenses align with my income. Alternatively, taking on multiple jobs to cover costs, pay off debts, and balance the books is another approach. Some may question why they should downsize or work multiple jobs, why a single job doesn't provide enough. Unfortunately, these ideas are fairly recent in our history, born from the notion that individuals are so special and deserving that inconvenience should be avoided. This political idea gained traction in the 1960s and has been nurtured by those who seek to debilitate and weaken others. If you are unable to make sacrifices when times are tough, you will likely struggle. When faced with a storm, sailors trim their sails and seek shelter. Those who ignore the storm often sink quickly and discover how well they can swim. If you're willing to make short-term sacrifices for long-term gains, then you don't need anyone else, and you will always succeed. Situational barriers to work are not easy to find and can require profound and difficult changes to overcome. It's possible that there may be very little work available where you live. The people around you may not work, and collectively, you may believe that your situation is not your fault, absolving yourselves of the need to act. Close family members may prefer having you at home, or their welfare payments may be affected if you were to work, so they discourage you from seeking employment. Each of these situations requires attention. If your household relies on welfare, or if all your friends are unemployed and dependent on benefits, your efforts to improve your situation might be seen as a challenge to their lack of success. It may make them look bad, and because we naturally strive to fit in, You may choose to avoid confrontation and conflict by suppressing what you know is in your best interest. Breaking away from that group may result in arguments, confrontations, or even exclusion. Therefore, you need to decide on the value of your current situation against the things you dream of achieving. On our deathbeds, there is no worse regret than thinking, "I wish I had." So now is always the time to plan your future. Now is the time to take the next step. Let me share a story that might help you decide what you want to do. Imagine a manager with two sales teams. One team is doing very well. They self-motivate, compete in a friendly manner, and encourage each other to improve. The other team is failing in all aspects, and your investigation reveals that one person in the team is the cause. They are continuously negative, disruptive, and constantly complain about the unfairness between the two teams. In a moment of inspiration, the manager decides to transfer the toxic worker to the successful team, hoping they will learn the positive behaviors of their new colleagues. What do you think happens? Within days, the previously successful team starts to become unhappy, and within weeks, they're in the same situation as the other team, which is now performing much better. Just as a drop of poison spoils the entire bottle of wine, any negative attitude within your family, living space, or social group can sabotage your efforts. It's not to say that you can blame others, as we don't have control over how other people think or feel. However, they may not be aware that their negativity brings you down, so you might ask them to help you by being more positive. If things are still unchanged, it's up to you to find or create a better situation. There is another fitting analogy known as the crab bucket phenomenon. When catching crabs, you need to put a lid on the bucket to prevent the first one from escaping. However, once you put 2 or more crabs in the bucket, you no longer need the lid, because whenever one tries to escape, the others will pull it back down. While your family, friends, or social class may be important to you, if they have a negative outlook, it can be tough to change it. Therefore, it's essential to focus on yourself, your goals, and your motivations. If you want more and dream of greener pastures, all you can do is plan for yourself, and when possible, take yourself where you want to be. If there is truly no work available where you live, whether it's a small town or a remote location, you will have to consider moving to a place where you can find employment. Throughout history, humans have always migrated to areas with available resources and opportunities. Europeans came to Britain to work, British people went to Germany in the past, and currently the French travel to Poland, the Dutch drive to Germany, and people from northern Italy head to the south. You go where the work is, whether it's for yourself or your family. If you're stranded in a desert and thirsty, you have to go where the water is. In the past, people would join the army or merchant navy to escape the limitations of their hometown. Some jobs offer live-in accommodations, which can be a great way to save money if your living costs are included in your wage. If you have relatives or friends elsewhere in the country and you can find work there, they might provide you with accommodation. In a world where someone could claim to be a pink unicorn-winged gorilla, and some would celebrate their lived experience, you certainly have the ability to improve your situation. Another barrier to work might be a lack of skills. Perhaps you haven't obtained any qualifications or learned a trade and have only had a series of short-lived jobs. You may have only worked cash in hand, making it difficult to declare that work experience. In this instance, you're almost back to square one. Thanks to the taxes paid by those in work, the nation has schools, colleges, and universities. Although there may be ideological influences in some educational institutions, there are still opportunities for learning. Everyone has access to a period of free education, and if you haven't been able to make good use of this opportunity, you might have to put in some extra effort. I speak from personal experience as well. I attended 8 schools in 12 years and started working as a laborer at 15. After struggling in the job market for nearly 10 years, I obtained a City and Guilds qualification and later completed several Level 2 and Level 3 qualifications. While studying, I also worked full-time, and when my work hours were cut, I took on a morning cleaning job to cover the shortfall. It was challenging, and fatigue left me vulnerable to doubt, but I took one step at a time, and I finished what I started. With my new qualification, I secured a junior role that paid the same as my 2 jobs combined, and within 24 months, I had more than doubled my income. There are many industries and skills-based qualifications that, once achieved, can give you access to well-paid roles. However, it's important to remember that being newly qualified also means being inexperienced, so you may need to work in an entry-level position for a year or two. Overall, overcoming barriers to work requires determination, resilience, and a proactive mindset. It may involve addressing physical or emotional disabilities, managing financial challenges, navigating situational barriers, or getting new skills and qualifications. While external factors and the attitudes of others can change your journey, focusing on your own goals, seeking opportunities where they exist, and making necessary changes can ultimately lead to success. If you believe that you cannot overcome the barriers in your life, whether they are family or social commitments, or simply a reluctance to put yourself out there, I encourage you to consider this perspective. Investing in yourself by getting new skills and qualifications is like giving yourself an upgrade. Just like spending hours playing a computer game to upgrade your character and take on greater challenges. Treating your life as a game where you continually upgrade yourself can lead to progress and rewards. In the next video, we will delve into the topic of barriers to work from a broader perspective, examining the past, present, and future, and how we can navigate through the challenges they present. Remember, you are the result of thousands of years of trial, error, and evolution. You are the most developed and sophisticated creature on the planet, and possibly for several 100,000 light years. That's incredibly impressive. You have untapped potential and abilities within you. The more you shy away from challenges, the weaker you may become. But if you embrace challenges and persevere, whether you win, lose, or draw, you will activate the hidden abilities and power-ups within you. Whatever you feel, I'm willing to bet that you believe you can do better and that you deserve better. And you know what? If you think you can do better, you absolutely can and will. You are formidable, and it's important to recognize your own potential and believe in yourself.